Hi folks, welcome to the channel. In today's video I'm going to be taking a very simple look at what I've been getting wrong with my circular saws and track saw and hopefully where I'm going to put it right. So stick around and I will explain all. So when it comes to cutting anything really, whether it's wood, plastic, metal, you've got to have the right blade for the job, and as a DIYer you normally end up going for something that's a multi-purpose blade, and that's something with, if you're talking in a circular saw terms, something with enough teeth on it that it's okay at both ripping and cross-cutting across the grain. And by that I just mean you're either cutting down the length of timber or you're cutting across it. Now cutting across it is normally much easier and you can get away with a fairly fine blade. When you're ripping down the length, it can be quite a struggle. Now, as you might know, in my videos in the past, I have struggled on occasion with picking the right blade for the bit and just performance of saws. And that's mainly down to lack of knowledge and experience and just kind of hacking through a job rather than thinking it through too much. And that was evident in the oak worktop, in the utility, when I was cutting out that sink. And when when you're cutting 40mm oak along the grain, ripping along the grain, if you've got the wrong blade, whether it's sharp or not, you end up with just loads of burning, and it basically looked like I was trying to cut it out with some sort of laser torch or something. So it was a little bit smoky. Whereas if I'd used the right blade, which is something with less teeth, you're taking out more longer strips of wood, it just works a lot better. So this circular saw is my kind of go-to cordless one, the Bosch, and this old Freud blade that's on here was a great multi-purpose blade, which is kind of something in the middle, good for long cuts, good for ripping and cross cuts, and I think it was a 40 tooth blade, so relatively fine. The stock blade that came on the Bauer I was testing out has a few less teeth on it, so it's a little bit more severe as far as cuts go, and perhaps a little bit better for the ripping. I'm not sure quite how it relates on size of blade to number of teeth, so it might not compare exactly, but this on the Beast for my timber framing, this is got 18 teeth, so it's a lot more coarse, but of course you're not really looking for a fine finish. That's not the idea for this saw. This saw is for cutting, and cutting pretty quick and pretty deep. Jumping to the tool that I'm using a lot at the moment, this Festool, which I bought used, and I'm kind of getting into grips with. It's an amazing tool, but you've really got to pick your blade, because it can make what is probably the best, or one of the best track saws on the market appear pretty pants, because you're just throwing the wrong wood at the wrong saw blade. So this blade here is a 48 tooth, which is great for fine cutting, especially cross cuts. But it was just the wrong thing to be doing when I was trying to. I had nothing out. I didn't want to get out the dirty old table saw, and nor did I trust getting a straight enough cut for this door lining that I was doing with the circular saw. So this was a good way to go, but I only had a 48 tooth blade for it. And sure enough, trying to cut is a relatively new blade as well. Cutting along the length of oak was just like a barbecue in here. It was burning, and I've probably damaged the blade. I don't know when they go off to be resharpened whether that's repairable or not, but it certainly was not a good look. The speed, dialing down the speed a little bit helped a tiny bit, but it was the wrong way to go. What I'm trying to get to with this is I need to cut 3 relatively large cuts on this slab. I want to use the track saw because they need to be straight and accurate, but that was the wrong blade. So I've managed to order a 12 tooth blade the same blade, same company, but hopefully this is going to be the answer, and this is going to work a lot better. We'll still do it in multiple passes. We still might dial down the speed a little bit, and then we'll see how well this elm cuts. Hopefully we're not going to have another barbecue on our hands. And perhaps it was because I thought it was such an ordeal each time to change the blade, but really it couldn't be made much easier than this like one button lockout on the Festool, and I don't know, if you were doing this day in, day out, you'd probably, and it was an important piece of furniture, you'd be taking out blades for the the 4 different cuts on the timber, and it would be worth it. So these blades are the key blades. They do router bits and all sorts of stuff. Decent company. I think someone recommended them to me originally. I think they said they were carpenters who have now set up this company, so they know what they're on about, and they're adding new tools all the time to their range. They've actually, ironically, just started testing a slab flattening bit, router bit, but it wasn't ready in time to do this. So this elm slab I've just done, I did with some cheap and cheerful Amazon job, but it's done a sterling job, so I can't really complain about that. Right, that's it. That's all we needed to do. So hopefully this is going to do this with no this. And all being well, this old 48 tooth, well, I say old, it's only a few weeks old, I can get sent off and resharpened. Okay, so ready to cut this now. We've got, I think, 50mm or just under to go through. Well, you know when they say get the right tool for the job, I swear that could have done it in one pass. That is absolutely perfect. No burnout. Yes, there's some saw marks to be expected from that blade, but I wasn't even, it was just gliding. I wasn't even pushing it through, which is what I was doing when I was burning the oak last week. Right, let's do the other end. I'd say that's a pretty clean cut, even with that coarser blade on it. It's like one giant elm shim. Now, I'm coming across at 90 now, and arguably I don't need to use such a coarse tooth sort of ripping blade for this, but when it's between that and a burnt out 48 tooth, I think it should be fine. Now, I don't want to give too much away because the desk build video will be coming up soon, but you can see how I finished off the ends of the desk by doing a sort of undercut chamfer type thing, and this blade worked really well. Even though it's really designed for ripping, it didn't leave huge amounts of saw marks, and those that were there planed out super easy. And you can also see that not one bit of burnout at all. The only thing that happened is I couldn't quite get the depth I needed, so I just had to plane off that little bit that was left there. But all in all, super impressed, and it will teach me a lesson to use the right blade for the right job and not stand there shoving the saw through because I'm too lazy to change the blade or go out and buy the right one. Anyway, links to what I use down in the description. If you've got any other tips, I'd love to hear them. But that's it. Thank you for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.